My name is Lisa Welchel. You might recognize me from my time on television. For this special edition of Collector's Call, I'm staying at home, but still meeting people with the most amazing collections we can find.
I have approximately 3,000 items on display.
I call up experts to appraise these treasures and hope to make a deal with the collector to trade one of their precious gems for an elusive item that's been on their wish list.
Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Will there be a trade? It's the Collector's Call at home. So this week we're doing things a little bit different. I'm at home, the collector's at home, the expert's at home, but we're all together. We're just all together, safer at home. Today I'm virtually visiting Chris Stulz, who's assembled a vast collection of Muppets and Jim Henson memorabilia.
I am just in awe of the characters, how it's all about coming together, how it's accepting people's differences and validating them. While my collection is primarily Muppet focused, it does extend to the entire Henson universe, including Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, etc.
I'm joined by renowned movie and TV collector Rob Klein.
I'm a student of film history, particularly the moguls that started all the studio systems. And Jim Henson is right in there with people like Louis B. Mayer, who started MGM, and then Walt Disney. He's a genius, a creative genius.
Rob will put a price on Chris's collection. He's also found a rare Jim Henson item that Chris doesn't have, with the aim of making a trade for one of Chris's treasures. Will he succeed? In the end, it's the collector's call. Chris, it's so good to kind of be in your home today. Thank you for inviting us in. I'm very excited about seeing your collection. I'm a Sesame Street fan. I'm a Muppets fan. My kids were Muppets fans. They've been like friends that we've grown up with. What was your first introduction to the Muppets?
So I grew up right as the movies were starting to come out.
I may not be one of your fancy Hollywood frogs, but I deserve a chance.
It was just the height of Muppet mania, late 70s, early 80s. Jim Henson has always been one of my all-time heroes. He really reinvented television puppetry.
How did you get started collecting Muppets?
My cousins were 6 to 10 years older than me. My aunts gave me their hand-me-downs. So it's just something that's always been a part of me and my childhood. My parents are very forgiving of this. Growing up, I had one cabinet that they allowed me to keep my Muppet collection in. That just sort of grew and grew and grew.
Are any of your cousins collectors?
No. I think my aunts did not want them to be collectors, or they didn't want this happening.
Well, how do they feel about it now? I mean, look at you. You are on television.
Well, we'll see once this goes on TV, right? We'll see the jealousy start to, hey, that's mine. Give that back to me.
That's right. Well, Chris, we brought a good friend of Collector's Call with us today, Rob Klein, who is just an expert in many, many things. Rob, tell me why, though, you are also an expert in all things Muppets.
I think that started with Sesame Street. It was just getting into its stride when I was growing up. I don't really collect the Muppets or Sesame Street, but I collect the memories. So I'm so excited to hear more about your collection and more about you. Chris does not disappoint at all. He is exactly what I hoped a Muppet collector would be like. He just has that twinkle in his eye.
I'm ready to dive in as well, Rob. Chris, what are you going to show us first today?
I have a cast and crew mug from The Muppet Show. It was given to members of the cast and crew that worked on The Muppet Show as the show wrapped in 1981.
Wow, that is very cool.
They tried to incorporate as many characters on the mug as possible. So you got Scooter, Fozzie, Annie Sue, Kermit, of course, Floyd, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, and Gaffer the Cat.
How did you come upon it?
One of my friends happened to get this mug from someone that worked on the show. He actually got 2 of them, and so he was nice enough to sell me his extra.
How much did he sell it to you for?
I think I paid somewhere around $200 to $500. I can't quite remember, but it was somewhere in that range. I know that's a large range.
Well, this is a very special gift, however much you paid for it, right? Because this was something that only the cast and crew could have. Tell us about this, Rob.
Cast and crew items are very collectible. The other thing that's neat is, Chris, you mentioned that there's some obscure Muppet characters on the mug.
Yeah, as far as I know, Annie Sue was only maybe on this piece of merchandise, as well as Gaffer the Cat up here.
So this was available in 81. What year did you acquire it?
I acquired it only a few years ago.
So Rob, he got it for $200 to $500, big range. How much is it worth today?
I think because what we've just learned, this is Annie Sue's mug. She's a obscure Muppet character, but nevertheless beloved. So I think that this is definitely a $500 to $700 piece because of that. So I think that you did really well. But now this kind of information is going to make this mug more sought after because we've just educated the world that there's an Annie Sue mug.
Not to mention Gaffer the Cat.
That's right.
We can't leave Gaffer the Cat out.
Chris, what else do you have for us?
I have the Wedding of the Century Palisades action figure set featuring Kermit and Miss Piggy. When the head of Palisades got married, the Henson company gave permission for him to give this away as a wedding present to his guests.
So another one of these just gifts. I mean, these are things in your collection that you can't buy.
Yes, and they even on the back have a list of the wedding officiants, the bride, the groom, the flower girl, etc. It's really an interesting piece.
So how did you get this?
Like most things these days, it's on the internet. It's highly sought after. This is one of the crown jewels of the Palisades Muppet action figure line. I actually bought it years ago and was ripped off. I paid the money and never got the item.
I just hate it that somebody scammed him like that.
But I wound up finding another one. They only made a limited number, I think under 300. And I think that's how they were even allowed to do this because there's no official merchandise of Kermit and Miss Piggy being married.
So how much did you pay for it the first time and how much did you pay for it the second time?
I think the first time was close to $500 and the second time was somewhere around $350.
Okay, so Rob, he has about $850 invested in this. Has he made his money back?
When you look at this toy line, the action figures that are on the card still go for like a couple of $100, and those are just the standard release ones. And I even saw that some of the play sets are in the $1,000 range. And now you're telling me that there's 300 units produced of this rare wedding set. I would say this has to be a $1,500 piece because of the low number here.
Coming up on Collector's Call at Home.
I know you're going to buy some crazy nonsense. What is this for?
And later, Rob surprises Chris with a trade item that he may not be able to resist.
Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm virtually visiting Muppet Master Chris, along with memorabilia expert Rob, who's also brought an item to try to tempt Chris into a trade. But first, there's more to see.
Chris, more Muppets, please.
This is the 2005 Muppet Style Guide. This is what's sent to the licensee to make sure that they get the characters correct. This is the holy grail of what makes a Muppet product. When you have a character as well known as Kermit, they want to make sure that it has all 11 points on his collar. They want to make sure it's the right color. They want to make sure Gonzo's nose is the right color, etc.
And how did you get that?
So, again, I have a friend that had an extra copy of this, knew I was looking for it. I think I paid somewhere around $250 to $500 for this.
You know, Chris, I've noticed this about you. Can we narrow it down a bit?
The reason is because I have another one of these, the hardcover version, that is in its shipping box. I think I paid $500 for that, and maybe I paid $250 for this.
So, Rob, does that make a difference, the soft cover and the hard cover, as far as the value?
Style guides are created as a Bible for an understanding of what the franchise is. They're not offered to the public, but every single fan of a franchise would want the style guides. The hardcover certainly, I would say, would probably be worth at least 50% more than the soft cover.
How much would you value the soft cover for, since that's what we have today?
I've never seen one of these, so I'm just taking a guess here. I would say at least $300 to $400. And Chris, I'll bet you it's just filled with wonderful content on the inside. Am I correct?
Yes. There's new stock art There's all kinds of cool things. As far as I know, this is the last physical copy of the style guides ever made. After this, they went purely digital.
Any idea how many print in that run?
I would think in the 500 to 1,000.
I agree.
Wow, what a treasure. No wonder you have it in the soft cover and the hardback.
Right. Got to have both. Well, this is something really special. This is a Kermit wine topper. It's solid pewter. This was given to crew and members of the Henson Company back in the early 2000s.
Wow, more of these gifts. I just loved your collection, Chris.
Yeah, this is something really rare. I acquired this in 2001. The Henson Company produced a fan convention called Muppet Fest. Muppet Fest was so far a one-time, all Henson encompassing convention. The performers were there. They had various characters from different productions there. And it was a really amazing thing. While I was there, they were setting up a table of items they were going to sell the next day. And I happened to see this, and I said, what is that? I have to have that, and I've never seen one since.
Do you know how many were made?
I couldn't even guess. It has to be extremely, extremely low.
So how much did you have to pay for this treasure?
This you're going to love, because I can give you an exact answer on this. No
Okay,
roundabout
thank you.
figure. I know I paid $50 for this.
Wow.
Which was another reason why I jumped at it. I was there at the convention with my dad, and I didn't have $50 in cash on me. So I had to ask my dad for $50, and he was like, I know you're going to buy some crazy nonsense. What is this for?
You never get too old to ask your dad to buy you a toy.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Rob, I'm guessing $50. He did pretty well.
He did really well. Do you know if this was pre-Disney owning the Muppets, or is this a post-Disney piece?
It was pre. This was in 2001, and the Henson Company sold the Muppets to Disney in 2004.
That actually, to me, makes the piece more valuable. Prior to them being purchased by the Walt Disney Company, anything the Jim Henson Company produced like that is very special. Once again, this has got to be worth $500 to $1,000 just because of the rarity. What a fascinating piece, and I love the story with your dad referring to MuppetsStuff as crazy nonsense.
And 2 or 3 of them is crazy nonsense. When you get into the thousands, we're in another whole category now.
Yes.
Then you're on collector's call.
Right, exactly.
Okay, Chris, what do you have next for us?
This is the Rainbow Connection sheet music signed by Paul Williams, who wrote the song.
Did you get it personally signed by him?
This I got personally signed by him. Paul Williams has been associated for a very long time with the Muppets. He was a guest star on the show. He wrote the music for Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. He wrote the music for the Muppet movie, as well as the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Wow, that is a real treasure. Rob, how much would something like this be worth?
Well, I would like to say, first of all, that I'm a huge Paul Williams fan. You don't see him too often. And we have to also take into consideration that it's for the Rainbow Connection, and that song is a masterpiece.
It's a universal song that is sung by a frog in a swamp and appeals to everyone.
The Rainbow Connection.
It's just a magical song. You cannot listen to the Rainbow Connection and not feel some sort of swelling of emotion. This is so far, I think, my favorite piece that you have. I would estimate this piece probably in the 300, 350 range. Wow. The fact that Paul Williams graced that piece with his signature is just wonderful. What a special piece.
Up next on Collector's Call at Home, will Rob coax Chris into trading away one of his prize collectibles?
Wow, that is a tempting offer.
Memorabilia expert Rob is valuing the collection of lifelong Muppets and Jim Henson fan Chris. And he's brought an additional item to trade that's right up Chris's alley. But first, we've got a bit more to see.
Chris, I want to see more.
Plenty more. This item is the cast and crew Muppets Take Manhattan movie poster.
You know, if I didn't know better, I would think you worked in the cast and crew. You have so many of these cast and crew items.
Someday, maybe that could come true.
So tell me about this.
It was signed by not only Jim Henson, but the director, Frank Oz, and the producer, David Laser.
Wow, that is a special item. How did you get it?
I happened to see it online, this specific one, signed by all these people, I just knew this had to be the one I had to get.
Oh, absolutely. How much did you pay for it?
Somewhere around $250.
Rob, how'd he do?
I think you did well. Frank Oz does not sign for money. He doesn't really do convention appearances. And of course, Frank Oz has his place in movie history with the fact that he was the puppeteer for the Jedi Master Yoda, first appearing in The Empire Strikes Back. So getting Frank Oz on a Muppets piece with Jim Henson, that's pretty special. So I'm going to put this poster into the $1,400 to $1,600 range because of Frank Oz. I mean, come on, it's Frank Oz and Jim Henson, the dynamic duo. They're one of the great comedy partnerships in entertainment history.
You have the talent of Jim Henson and the creative genius behind that, and you have the comic sensibility of Frank Oz and the way he was able to bring characters to life.
I feel like you can't have enough of that combo in your collection.
So, Chris, I so appreciate you playing this safer at home version of Collector's Call with us and filming your own items for us.
Today, we've seen the Muppet Show cast and crew mug, the Kermit and Miss Piggy action figure wedding set, the 2005 Muppet Style Guide, the Pewter Kermit wine topper, the Rainbow Connection sheet music signed by composer Paul Williams, and the Muppets Take Manhattan signed crew movie poster.
Rob, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is so not fair to ask you to give us an evaluation of his entire collection because you can only see what's on this screen and what he's shown us individually. So granted, you can't give us a real number, but maybe you can give us a Chris number.
Anywhere between $5 and $1 million.
Exactly.
Well, you look like you have a pretty complete Muppet collection. Based on what I'm seeing and what we've been talking about, I would think that your collection would be, getting pretty close to the 100,000 range.
That's a good, fair ballpark, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was worth more than that.
It's very difficult to put a valuation or an accurate evaluation on anything that you're not able to literally go through with a fine-tooth comb.
I think Rob's great. He seems to have a vast knowledge of a lot of Henson material, not just the Muppets, which has been very helpful.
Do you know of any other Muppet collections that are as large as yours?
I have 3,000 items on display, another 1,000 in storage. This is a 30-plus year collection. Doesn't happen overnight. So it's probably one of the larger collections out there.
Congratulations to you.
So now listen, Chris, on Collector's Call, we ask our expert to bring an item that they know you want. And that's hard to do because you have so many very special items. Rob also has his eye on something of equal value that he's going to ask in trade. So, Rob, what have you brought?
I do a lot of work with 35mm film, and I have a 35mm print of the first teaser trailer for The Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal was a movie that I saw when it came out, and it absolutely tore my head off. No one had seen anything like that.
And to this day, I mean, it was the first ever puppet-only movie, and they just finally, after 30 years, made a prequel series on Netflix. 35mm trailers like that are extremely rare. They typically were never for sale to the general public. I do have a few friends that collect media and film trailers and stuff, but they don't have any Muppet stuff.
I'll tell you what I'm looking for. The box for the Fisher-Price playset that they made is a Sesame Street toy. This is actually my wife's that she had when she was a little girl. We'd love to be able to put the playset back in the box because who saved the box back in the early 70s?
Of course, every collector knows you gotta have the box.
Is that anything that you have?
Unfortunately, no. I'm looking for a complete set in the box myself.
The fact that he's also looking for one, normally you'd be like, oh, there's somebody else looking for one too, so more competition. But in a way, it's kind of a bonding experience.
So, Rob, is there something else you want?
Would you consider getting rid of one of the style guides? Ooh. Like maybe the soft cover?
Wow, that is a tempting offer. That Dark Crystal trailer sounds amazing.
Up next, Will Rob's trade item make Chris go waka waka?
So tempting.
Or will the verdict be bork, bork, bork?
Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Jim Henson collector Chris is considering a trade offer from fellow collector Rob. Can he bear to part with one of his treasures?
So, Chris, you don't have the box for the Fisher-Price toys, but you have 2 of these style guides. You have the hardback, which Rob has already said is really worth more, and you have this other one that you've already read. So, what do you think?
I don't know. Just having the one open so I could see it, the other one's still mint. It's so tempting. Ugh, I really would like that trailer.
I want to look at the style guide. I want to see what all the fun Muppet details are like in that thing.
So, Chris, what's the pros and cons of making this trade for you?
Oh, man. I mean, the style guide has just got so much information in there that is just so hard to find and highly detailed. Now, that Dark Crystal trailer is something else, too. That is very tempting. But I'm going to have to turn it down.
I'm not too surprised he turned down the trade because of him being a completist in the world of Muppets.
I know the Dark Crystal people are probably right now throwing things at their TV, shaking their fists at me saying, why didn't you take that? I have some other duplicates of other things that maybe we could trade, but not the style guide.
Well, maybe you could try to find me a box for my playset, and then, I'll have this trailer with your name on it.
I think that'd be incredible.
Well, I respect Chris because it was a choice that he made out of love.
So, Lisa, while going through the collection, I realized you're a part of it. You did a photo shoot for Muppet Magazine back in the 80s.
I did.
There's a whole photo shoot of you and Miss Piggy and you and some other cast members from the Facts of Life.
That's right. I remember it well.
Well, I was going through my archive, and I remembered that the Muppets were on the cover of Dynamite magazine. But as I was looking through my files, I came across this person who also was on Dynamite magazine.
Yes.
And then this person. So look at this. We got the trilogy here.
6 degrees of rainbow connection.